Welcome to another episode of Hunger Bites. I'm your host, Chef Keita. If you've never caught an episode of Hunger Bites, this is a show where we prepare recipes with foods that are commonly distributed at a pantry. Viewers at home, please join me in welcoming Talia Smith. She is the Food Bank of South Jersey SNAP coordinator. She also graduated from Montclair State University with a bachelor's in nutrition food science. Welcome, Talia.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Oh, good. I'm happy to have you. Talia actually did another episode with me, so she's actually, this is her second time coming back, and I'm very happy to see her, and I hope she can come back for more episodes in the future. So today we are actually going to talk about gluten-free recipes. Gluten-free, it's a touchy subject for me. I have a cousin that actually has celiac disease. He cannot consume anything with the gluten in it. But for viewers at home, Talia, can you explain what gluten-free means, what gluten is?
Yeah, so gluten basically is just a protein that's present in a lot of our wheat products, so our rye, barley, things like that, you're gonna find gluten in. Really, that's always what I tell people is the good stuff. So like bread, the cakes, your cookies, all that stuff. It's
all those baked goods that we're about to consume for the holidays, huh? Yeah. Well, is there any way to kind of go around it and get gluten-free products and things?
Yeah, so there are definitely a ton of different gluten-free grains. So things like rice is a big one for me. There's millet, there's oats. You just want to make sure that they're certified, of course. There's, amaranth, buckwheat, all different types. Yeah.
All these big names, right? But I've seen them at the stores before. It looks like when I look at a grocery store, they're usually like high up or maybe down low, these other kind of grains. But thank you for explaining to us, where we can find gluten-free products in the grocery stores, what we need to look for. Thank you for that. So today we are actually making a chicken and dumpling that is gluten-free. So dumplings normally have flour in them. They're made with flour, but flour does have that gluten additive inside the flour. So we're going to show you actually how to make flour out of oatmeal, like regular oatmeal. So first we're going to start sauteing our onion and our celery. Talia, do you want to show me how to cut the onion, or should I show you how to cut the onion?
I think you should show me.
Yeah, because we haven't had any accidents on this show yet, so I'm very happy to show you, even show the viewers at home. This is our regular standard yellow onion. The top is, intact this way. The bottom would be the root end over here. You want to keep this root end on when you're dicing an onion, and that's what we're doing today. So you're going to take the top part and literally cut it all the way down, which gives you a flat surface. See, it's kind of flat, doesn't really roll like it would if you had it on the side there. So once you're at your flat surface, Talia, you want to cut it in half, completely in half. And this is a good way to take the skin off. So at this point, I could take the skin off. See how easy it is? How many times have you tried at home to take the skin off, and it's been pretty difficult, right?
Every time.
Every time, yeah. Well, this is an easier way to take that skin off. And ultimately, it's funny because a lot of people ask me, well, what's the cure for not crying when you cut an onion? Do you have any kind of home remedies that you do?
Well, I don't have the cure for not crying, but I do know, someone taught me at the food bank actually, that if you are in a situation where you're crying from an onion, you can actually smell other spices. So something like cinnamon, and that kind of helps it go away. Just interesting.
Yeah, I gotta try that. I have not tried that. I always did the head in the freezer method, running some cold water, but I did find out if you do wear contacts, that is a surefire way to not cry. It's the oddest thing ever, but it's like a barrier actually for your eyes, and you will not cry if you cut onions and you wear contacts. Another method that if you're cutting onions pretty fast is to breathe out your mouth. When you're breathing in your nose, that's when you get your eye sockets and things like that, get all those oils from that onion that you're cutting, and that's how you tend to cry. But if you're breathing out your mouth the whole time and kind of go like this, while you're cutting your onion, your tear ducts actually don't fill up as bad as if you didn't do that part. So this is our onion now that it's peeled. If you would like, you can go to the middle of the onion. You want to not go completely to the end, so I did not go to the end of my onion, and then ultimately you just cut downwards like this. And then here we have diced onions. Mm-hmm. Did you ever hear of the claw method?
Yeah.
Oh.
The fingers.
The
right?
fingers, right? Yeah. So the claw method, for viewers at home that might not know what it is actually putting your thumb behind your forefingers, having your knife guide where your forefingers are, and then you're able to cut without cutting your fingers off. And again, we don't have any accidents on this show, so I wouldn't want any accidents today. But ultimately, that is the way you want to cut your onions. You want to make sure you have that claw method is what we call it at the food bank. At this point, we are going to start our fire here. So I'm going to turn it on for Talia. There we go. You can just pour about a half a teaspoon of olive oil in your pan there while I finish cutting up this onion here. Do you like onions, Talia?
I do, actually.
I think my viewers at home know by now. I don't like raw onions, but I love cooked onions. Cooked onions is something that I always keep handy. I think this is enough onions for us. So we can put these onions actually in the pan here, saute them up. I actually like them to be pretty much like caramelized, so it's like a low and slow kind of method. And basically what we're going to do today is have these onions cook the whole time while we're doing the show. But I did want to, talk more about gluten and things like that. And I did tell the viewers, I have a cousin that has celiac disease. Can you explain to our viewers at home, what celiac disease is? Maybe, is there a cure? What can we do about when people do have celiac disease?
Yeah, so celiac disease is basically probably just the most intense way, because we talk about gluten and we can say somebody is celiac or they just have an intolerance. So celiac is going to be your actual autoimmune response to gluten. So that's basically when you ingest gluten, your immune system is attacking its own body and causing some damage there. So that's going to be something that's going to hit somebody with long-term consequences, of course, because your immune system is attacking itself. So that's one where you really want to make sure. I know sometimes, a lot of times people will say like, I have an intolerance, but I really like it, so they keep eating it. But celiac disease, you don't really have that choice. It's going to be, like I said, a long-term consequence in ingesting that gluten. Whereas an intolerance is just more so kind of a short-term thing, kind of where you feel that like gas and like bloating, just the discomfort, but it's, like I said, a short-term type of thing.
Right. So ultimately, yes, if you have times where you're feeling bloated, maybe after you eat something, you're feeling gassy and things like that, you might want to talk to your physician about celiac disease. And again, gluten is found in a lot of products, all of your breads. Not all of your breads, right? Because there's like
there are gluten-free.
There's gluten-free breads, but most of your common breads have that gluten in them. Anytime you're frying anything with a flour base, that the flour has the gluten in it. Pasta. Yeah. Pasta's a big one. Any pasta that you eat could have that gluten in it. So you do want, to pay attention to your body. Our bodies are a machine. So if your body's reacting in a way that you're getting more gassy at times, or you're getting a bloated feeling at times, consult your doctor and talk to them about celiac disease. And maybe you'll start feeling better after you eat those things and know what to eat, because now Talia's letting you know what to look for at the grocery stores, right?
Yeah.
So let's make our flour. So again, regular oatmeal, you buy it, get it from the store. We also have these at the pantries and things like that. Talia, we're gonna get a measuring cup for you. So let's do about, say, a cup of the oats in there. I'm actually going to add a little bit more oil to the pan just so our onions don't burn, because nobody wants burnt onions, right? Or do you? I don't know.
Some people like it that way.
Yeah, I think on like some cheesesteaks and stuff like that, like just a little burnt onion taste, right? So we have our oats here. We are literally putting oats into our food processor here. I've done this before the show because I always say I don't want to, drown out the sound of everything with the sound of the food processor. So you would add your lid to your food processor and then basically blend it up. And once you blend it up, it's a powdery substance here. And I'm just gonna put my cleaned, washed hands in here just to show you at home. It's literally a powder. It's flour. So that's it. I didn't add anything. I didn't add anything to these oats. So the oats inside a blender, blend it up, and then you have your oat flour. So what we're gonna do here, I'll let you do it. I feel like I'm doing all the cooking here. Just pour that right in. Make sure you hold your blade because we have the blade inside. So make sure you hold your blade while you pour your oats. Yeah. While you pour your oat flour in there. And how easy is that? We go to the store and buy oat flour. It costs so much money, and you can literally make it at home. So for our dumpling purposes, we're actually going to put 2 tablespoons of the baking powder into our oat flour. You want to do the honors? We actually have just a spoon here. Use what you have. I always say, use what you have at home. So Talia is putting the 2 tablespoons of baking powder in her oat flour. And then the last ingredient is water. Any kind of water you have, pouring it into your oat flour with your baking powder and things, and then ultimately stirring it up. And what it should look like is I think we have a camera above our heads now, which is nice, but it should be a very thick oatmeal, pretty much like an oatmeal you don't want. And our onions seem to be cooking too fast for us here. So we actually are going to have burnt onions whether we like it or not, huh? All right, let's see if we can do this. Turn this down a little bit. Well, viewers at home, you are getting the complete rawness of hunger bites here. Well, anyway, back to our dumplings. So it's going to look like a very thick oatmeal. Basically, this is going to be our dumplings. It's going to cook when we add all of our other ingredients. So at this point, Talia, we're going to add, this is 2 cans of canned chicken. Canned chicken is something that our participants do get at the pantries, so we can add that to there. Feel free to use leftover chicken if you have leftover chicken. Go ahead, all of it. Yep, all of it. We did rinse our canned chicken off. Talia, can you tell the viewers at home why we rinse our canned products off?
Yeah, so a lot of our canned products, though they are just as good as our fresh products, they are just going to be preserved in, a lot of more sodium. So just giving them a good rinse. Once you take them out of the can, they're good to go.
Yeah, definitely. Here I have canned peas and carrots, and then canned mushrooms, all of which that we get from the food bank pantries that are in your neighborhoods and things. So we're going to add that. Again, we did rinse those to take off some of that sodium and things that the manufacturers put into the canned products to keep it, to have a good shelf life. And I'm just going to cover it with water at this point. If you have a vegetable broth, a chicken broth that you want to cover it with, that's fine too. If you don't have any of those, use your water. We're going to literally put enough water in there to cover up everything because we're going to then add our dumplings. You have a spoon? You don't have a spoon. Oh, well, we were using this, that's why. There we go. And then you just add a little bit more. A little bit more. Yep, there you go. And then we're gonna season it, right? Because who wants food that's not seasoned, right? So of course I'm trying to use everything that we can use without using that salt. So we have onion powder here. Talia just eyeball it there. We have our garlic powder. Again, you can eyeball it. I have black pepper here. And then I do have bay leaves. Bay leaves is something that you can omit if you don't have them at home, that's fine. If you do have them, great. I'm only going to use 2 bay leaves. I like to have the bigger bay leaves only because we do want to take them out before we serve this. And then at this point, we're ready for our dumplings. Now we'll actually have to turn this heat on again or we will have raw dumplings. So hopefully our burner will cooperate with us this time and don't don't overcook anything. I'm gonna add a little water because I realize that the dumpling mixture is a little thicker than I would like. And that's all you have to do, keep adding your water. If you feel like, once it sits, it does get thicker. And if you feel like it gets too thick, then just keep adding your water to this. There you go. And then you're gonna I like to take an ice cream scooper and actually dump my dumplings right into the water, just like that. Ultimately, they will plump up and cook. You can even pretty much put it inside. Make sure that some of the dumpling is all the way inside of your food. You want to try? Yeah, and this is a good recipe to make with your family. The holiday seasons are coming up. It's fall seasons, right? So you do want to make some of those comfort foods. This can be good for any age, just to show your children that, hey, you can make flour literally out of oats. Mm-hmm. It's already smelling good. I don't know what you did over there, Talia, but between, I think, the onions and the seasonings that we have, they ultimately smell really delicious, yeah. I always say when you saute onions, it brings out the best people because they want to eat, They smell those onions cooking, and they just ultimately want to eat. All right, that looks good. So we have a few dumplings in there. We're gonna let this cook down. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Talia and I are gonna talk to you guys about dairy-free products. So I'll see you soon.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Boardwalks built for fun. Legendary rock and roll clubs.
This is how we do it. Hippity hop.
Casinos by the ocean.
Hippity hop.
Now that's New Jersey. 130 miles of beautiful beaches. Solid rock. And everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey. Plan your New Jersey trip at visitnj.org. Waves of fun. Nights of excitement. And a trail of memories. Now that's New Jersey.
this plus this equals this plus this and this. Don't drink and drive.
Welcome back. So right now we're going to talk dairy-free, but first I wanted to talk to you guys about what my plate is. I always have this poster behind me, and I never really touched base. Well, I think 1 or 2 episodes maybe, but ultimately I think today would be a great day to talk about the 5 different parts of my plate. So usually, you know, we talk about my plate, and we talk about how fruits and vegetables should be half of your plate. Protein should be a quarter of your plate, and then the grains. But dairy is very important, right, Talia, when you talk about my plate and how to get all the nutrients that you need from food?
Yeah, so dairy, of course, you want to get about 3 cups of that a day. You do get, you know, calcium, vitamin D from your dairy products. And then when we think about people that have those non-dairy beverages, those are all fortified with the same great things that, you know, our cow's milk is, or contains rather. So you're still getting all those same great benefits when you're consuming things like almond milk and oat milk and all
And even
those
if you do the different fats, right? So even if
Yes.
you have whole milk, 2% milk, 1% milk, you still get as much calcium in all those different products.
Yeah.
But you do want to aim for the lower fat milks, because there's no reason why you would consume a high fat milk if you're still getting the calcium that you needed in all the different types of milks, right?
Exactly.
Now, what if someone, like I always call her my favorite aunt in the whole wide world, I know she's watching out there, someone is lactose intolerant, what do you consider like a dairy-free option?
Yeah, so there's tons of dairy-free options at this point. We have, you know, things like almond milk, we have oat milk, there's like even pea milk at this point. There's all these different types of ones. Coconut milk is a popular one as well.
Okay.
So those are all ones that you can actually try. But with those, the only thing that I would advise everyone, and really I advise everybody with anything that you consume, to just check your label and really understand what you're taking in from all of these products, because our almond milks and oat milks and all those alternative milks are really great, but you also do want to make sure that they're, you know, reduced sugar, if not unsweetened.
Okay,
I
so
know.
stay away from the chocolate, the strawberry milk, and things like that, because they're very high in sugar.
Yeah,
right?
you definitely want to watch that sugar. Something I tell people, you know, like personally, I get the unsweetened types of like oat milks and almond milks, and then you can always sweeten them in your home, and then you have a lot more control over what's going in it.
Nice, nice. Well, thank you. Yeah. So today I'm going to actually show you how to make oat milk. Not oatmeal, oat milk, right? So we're actually going to take oatmeal again. We talked about this before the commercial break. We made this in our chicken and dumplings, which are still over here simmering up so we can eat them later. But ultimately, you just need oats and water to make oat milk, all right? There is a process, of course, but ultimately you just need this. I am gonna ask my wingman, can he please hand me a bowl, because I forgot to have a bowl on the side here, a bigger bowl over here. Our wingman today is Lewis. He is a HPI educator, and he helps me out when I forget things like a bowl for our viewers at home. So what I'm gonna have Talia actually do, and I'm gonna try to make sure everybody can see this at home, is just pouring your oats into your measuring cup. The recipe calls for 8 cups of water to 4 cups of oats, but we're actually going to take that in half and do 2 cups, 4 cups to 1 cup of oats.
That's about 2.
Yeah, that's 2. So we'll just take half of it. How about that? There we go. And at this point, all you're going to do is cover this, which is like a marinade. You're going to cover your oats, and you can cover your oats in water. And that's it. That's it for that step. So it's kind of like a marinating process. I'm just going to give a little more water here. And then once that soaks, You do want to soak it for at least 8 hours. I have soaked mine overnight, but ultimately, 8 hours, of course, as usual with any marinade, the longer you soak it, the better, right? So we're going to soak these oats in this water for 8 hours, and of course, because of the magic of TV, I have oats that have already been soaking. So these are oats that are soaked in water. Talia now is going to demo how to spoon this out and then put them in our blender and things like that. So I will actually put this in here because we don't need this anymore. So Talia, if you could just take a cup of these oats here, and then we're going to put them in our blender here. Actually, I'll bring this to you so we don't make a mess. And I'm sorry, I'm lying. You're actually going to take these oats that you soaked. It's a process, right? You're going to take these oats that you soaked and put them in a strainer. So actually here I had some wet oats already that I had used earlier. I'm straining it. I don't know if you can see it at home. It's very clear, but they are straining so that some of that water that were in those oats are actually coming off of those oats. Once you're at this step, then you're going to pour it into your blender, your mixer, or whatever you have at home. And of course, at this point, you would ultimately, wake the whole house up because you'll turn it on, right? But we're not going to do that for you guys at home because we already have one that we've blended up. So this is basically what it looks like. And this is basically your oat milk, but you do want to strain this because it can be a little grainy at this stage. So at this stage, we're going to take our mason jar or any container you have. We have a cheesecloth here. If you do not have a cheesecloth at home, feel free to use a towel. You can even use pantyhose, of course, if they're brand new. That's a great way to strain this. So Talia, if you don't mind, and I do have a funnel in here just because it's a little easier for us. So, yep, pour it right in, all of it. Yep. Oh, well, not all of it. Because it's a little too thick for us to put all of it in there. But ultimately, once you're at this stage, you could push it through, and it pushes right through. You see? I'm sure you can see overhead what it looks like. And that's how you get your oat milk. And that's it. So those are the 3 steps that you would need to make oat milk at home, which is way cheaper than buying it from the store, right, Talia?
Much cheaper.
All right, so I actually have dirty hands now, so I will look for a paper towel around me. Don't find one. Hopefully my wingman can get me a towel. Oh, and he pointed to paper towels. Thank you. So I will wipe my hands off because our next step is one of my favorite desserts, which is ice cream. Because ultimately, it's hard to find dairy-free ice cream at the stores, right, Talia?
Yes, very hard. And it's becoming a little bit more popular now, but definitely is a little difficult.
Yeah, so this is our oat milk. I'll show you here. If you notice the bottom's a little darker than the top, just shake it up. That's all you have to do. And I'm kind of glad we didn't do more than we needed because we would have made a spill on air, huh? But if you shake it up, it looks just like your regular oat milk. So that's all your regular milk. So that's all you would do every time you would make anything. You would just shake your oat milk up before you have your cereal, before you make your ice cream, which we're about to make in a second here, and things like that. So ultimately, who doesn't have a banana that goes bad, right? Sometimes I can't stand them, they go bad too fast. So what we can do is actually peel the banana per usual, and I do peel upside down, I guess, from what people tell me. But it's always been easier for me to peel from the bottom up. So when I peel the banana, I take a Ziploc bag and put our banana in the Ziploc bag. Peel this banana here, check on our chicken and dumplings there, and ultimately, that's it. Put them in a Ziploc bag, put them in a container, any container you have at home, seal it up tight. I like to kind of get the air out of it, so I kind of make sure it's nice and tight. Put it in your freezer. Once it's frozen like so, I take strawberries, our frozen bananas here, and even some strawberry preservative because it just tastes so good. And our oat milk, that is it. So ultimately, you were going to put in our food processor, which we don't have anymore. Hold on real quick. Guys and girls at home, of course, we had so much things we were doing today that ultimately didn't have time to switch out that. So at this point, you would put in your bananas, as many as you like, but the recipe does call for 1 whole banana, so that's what I'll do here. 1 whole banana. It just falls in here. There we go. And then we put some of the strawberries. Now there is a recipe on the screen, but feel free to eyeball it. Who doesn't want, you know, a very strawberry ice cream? Who doesn't really want, you know, to hold out on the bananas, right? And then one more thing for my wingman on the side here. If he could get me a spoon real quick, I will appreciate it. Thank you so much. And 1 spoonful of your strawberry preserve. If you don't have strawberry preserve, use your grape jelly or anything like that. And then our oat milk, because ultimately ice cream has milk in it, right? Now we have a dairy-free option. So pour that in there. And that is it. That's it, guys. And that's your ice cream. Once you blend it up, you put it in your freezer, let it freeze, and then you have your ice cream for that. Tilia, did you have anything else to add? I was really curious about what's the difference between like an allergy and an intolerance?
Yeah. So with your allergies, again, that's really just going to be an immune reaction. So every time somebody intakes dairy, it's going to be your immune system attacking your body just because of the confusion. And then basically, like I said, that's going to be something like long-term damage. You'll still, there's actually cases where people don't experience symptoms and they don't even know. So that's definitely something that you do want to stay on top of and really understand your body. And like we said, like when your body's telling you something, listen. So your intolerance, and then again, that's another thing where like people are lactose intolerant and still eat cheese and still have ice cream and all
your
those
stomach
things.
feels all icky, right?
Exactly.
So stop it. Make your oat milk. Make your oat milk, people. It will save your stomach. I mean, when your stomach is making, you feel bloated or is having you feel yucky, it's crying out to stop eating that stuff. So this is a way that you can consume your favorite foods like ice cream using this oat milk. I also use it for my oatmeal in the morning. Instead of using water when I make my oatmeal, I use my oat milk, and then it gives me extra vitamins and things that I will need for my whole day.
Yeah. And then something like this is really great because, like I said, you have total control over, what's in your oat milk and what's in your ice cream.
Oh, right, because you had mentioned the sugar, right?
Yeah, there's sugar, but then there's also just really confusing labeling. So something like, dairy-free versus lactose-free versus non-dairy. So there's all different things. Non-dairy products can still have, things like our our casein and our whey. So you do want to be careful because there are other milk proteins that can be found in things that are labeled non-dairy or lactose-free. Because lactase is really what you're watching out for when you are lactose intolerant, because you're not producing that enzyme. You can't break down that, that lactose. So things like whey and casein that aren't lactose but are still milk protein, if you have a reaction to that as well, that's still going to be present in your things like your non-dairy things and your things that are lactose free. They could still be present.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That does make sense. I will say and add that oat milk, when you make it at home, it does only have a shelf life of 3 days. But ultimately, I like cereal. This will go in 3 days, right? And it's easy enough. I just did it right there on the screen with you guys. You know how easy it is now to make your stomachs happier, because ultimately, like I say, your stomachs are a machine, you're a machine, and if your stomach is crying out with the gas, with the pains that you have, you ultimately want to have a substitution, and this oat milk is economical, easy to make, the family can do it, and you can do it and have it for a good 3 days. Anything else you wanted to add about being dairy free and having subbing that cow's milk and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I am gluten-free and dairy-free. A lot of people, I know it is hard to, make that transition. And like, for me, it was something I had to do for my body. Like I said, you have to listen when it's telling you things. But there are tons of really good substitutes for all of those great things that you used to eat. Oats has been such a big part. Rice, brown rice is such a big part of my diet now.
Yeah.
So there's tons of different things that you can do. Your non-dairy milks, you can have your non-dairy chocolate milk.
Right.
You just figure it out.
And ultimately, it's always about reading your label.
Yeah.
Read your ingredients. Know that first ingredient is the most that's in that ingredient. So if it's sugar is that first ingredient, don't buy the product. Make it at home. The cooking does matter when you are trying to live a healthier lifestyle. So Talia and I will get to taste this recipe where we made the ice cream. We'll taste our chicken and dumplings, which looks like they're ready to be consumed after this commercial break. Are you ready for this, Talia?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So we'll see you back after this quick commercial break. I'll see you soon.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Boardwalks built for fun. Legendary rock and roll clubs.
This is how we do it. Hip hop.
Casinos by the ocean.
Hip hop.
Now that's New Jersey. 130 miles of beautiful beaches, solid rock, and everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey. Plan your New Jersey trip at visitnj.org. Waves of fun. Nights of excitement. And a trail of memories. Now that's New Jersey.
This plus this equals this plus this and this. Don't drink and drive.
So,
Welcome back. This is my favorite part of the show, Talia, the eating part. So we get to eat our strawberry banana ice cream made with the oat milk, right? And our chicken and dumplings that we made literally on the screen with you guys with the oat flour that doesn't have the gluten in it that hurts some people's bellies, right? So I think I would try the chicken and dumplings first. What do you think? And this is literally canned products. Like I said, the oat milk, I mean not the oat milk, but the oat flour and things. Great job, Talia, seasoning and things like that. It's very good. We are washing it down with our fall infused flavored water here. It is oranges and cranberries with water, and that's it, literally. So we wash it down with some of that, and
That one's good.
That's
I've never
good.
had that one. Yeah.
That's good. That's the citrusy, the cranberry. I know it's the fall season. A lot of people are making things with the frozen cranberries and things. If you have leftover frozen cranberries, use it in your water. The family will love it. It looks pretty on the table. I know somebody at the food bank just recently had asked me, what did I do? How did I get this picture and things like that? You don't necessarily have to have this picture to make the infused water, but it is very tasty. So you ready to try our dessert now?
Yes.
This is our strawberry banana ice cream with the oat milk in it that we did right on the screen here. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
And
Strawberry
Talia,
and banana is like the best combo.
combination, right? And for Talia to be dairy free, this is something that she can eat without feeling guilty because she knows later on her stomach might not like her, right? So what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think it's honestly, it's just as good as regular ice cream. People, I think that's like the misconception that people have. It's like this type of stuff is not as good as the
Right.
regular stuff, but it is.
Right. And I used to, be able to see people that couldn't eat dairy. The ice cream truck would come by and they weren't able to go and have the ice cream with the family and things like that. And this is a way that I can keep this in the freezer for my family members that are dairy free. And again, we have our chicken and dumplings here made with the oat flour for people just like in my family, maybe like yours at home, that have that gluten allergy and things like that. So Talia, oh my gosh, it's like the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining. I know you're a SNAP coordinator at the Food Bank of South Jersey, and some of our viewers at home would love to know how can they get in contact with you or in contact with people at the food bank if they are interested in getting SNAP benefits. How would they be able to do that?
Yeah, so you can actually reach out to the SNAP team at the food bank. We have an email and we have a hotline, so you are always welcome to leave a message at either of them. Our email is fbsjsnap@foodbanksj.org. And our hotline number is 856-662-4884, and our extension is 125. And like I said, you can always call with any questions. Even if we're not necessarily in the building, you can always leave a message and we'll get back to you.
Nice, nice. And that's very very nice for our participants in the counties that we serve to be able to call the food bank for now SNAP benefits. So thank you for doing your job at the food bank. For our viewers at home, we are both from the Food Bank of South Jersey. We are looking for donations. $1 equals 3 meals in the 4 counties we serve: Burlington, Camden, Gloucester, and Salem counties. $1 donation gives someone in those counties 3 meals. So go to foodbanksj.org and donate $1 today. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Hunger Bites, because quite frankly, hunger bites. I'll see you all next time.